let the Witchblade awaken within you. What's the good word, Shiny Arks, and welcome to this week's episode of Kirana's Fashion Passion. Since this is our very first episode, I wanted to go over briefly what this series will include. To begin this focus on fashion, I asked my circle of friends for their top 2 Antag and Protag female animal goyles. With some research, I will attempt to cosplay their character design using PSO2 fashion to achieve their look in its truest form. In short, in-game cosplay, baby, and what better place to do this than in the weebest MMO out there? Of course, I'm going to do my boyfriend's pick first, and in the natural order of things, he gives me Masane, the main protagonist in the anime Witchblade. Have you seen this chick's outfit? I've gotta say, it was not difficult, but a perfectionist's nightmare. Anyways, let's get to the look that gets the touch. Okay, so I wanted to do the Salon part live because I wanted to let you guys see my reactions and have a more natural description of what I was doing. So we will start with the iris pattern. For the iris pattern, I chose to use Anime Eyes G. These were from an AC scratcher and can be obtained through personal shop purchases. I'm not really sure how expensive they are. As far as irises go, they tend to be very expensive because irises, accessories, makeup patterns, and hairstyles are going to move over to NGS more fluidly. They're not going to have as many restrictions as such as like innerwear and outerwear and other outfits that are present in the current PSO2. So I chose that for both the left and right eye pattern, and because of the shading on top, you have to be very careful of what kind of eye color you choose. So each iris has a different variation of coloring the iris, so don't think that this is going to work for another iris that you choose. There are irises that have that black instead of the white background like the character Masane has, but I don't have any of those, so this is the one that I chose. I chose this very rich golden yellow. If I go a little bit up more, it's going to be too yellow, almost like a canary yellow, and if I go even just a little bit down, it becomes this ugly mustard yellow. So this is where I ended up on the color palette, and so if you want to choose this iris, this is where you need to be to achieve that golden yellow color. For the eyebrows, I chose an eyebrow that you were able to get from fun scratchers. Anything you get from fun scratchers is usually obtainable in the personal shops, and they're not that expensive because people go through fun scratchers so much more than AC. They usually get dozens upon dozens of extras because, well, I do. When I go to get furniture and such, I always get like a ton of extras. So these probably sell for relatively cheap. So we went with the hot-blooded eyebrows. And we decided to make the eyebrow color match the hair because, as you can see in Masane's picture, both the hair and the eyebrows are that rich red color. Moving on to the eyelashes, I wanted to give her that sinister look because if you look at Masane's picture, she has a very bold eye framing, and in order to get that, I had to choose the sharp flashy lashes. Now these were also from a fun scratcher, so they're probably pretty abundant in personal shops as well. But if I went with anything else, like I can go through a few of these real quick, it doesn't give that boldness or that sharpness. We can even go with the whole luxurious lashes or the anime lashes, and it doesn't give it that sharp, sinister, bold look that I was looking for. So we decided on the sharp flashy lashes to give her that whole Witchblade fill. Okay, moving on. The makeup patterns. Now the makeup pattern I chose was Face Paint 8, and this is part of your default face paint settings, so you don't have to buy these. Now if you wanted to get that purple / scar look that she does have, there are certain kabuki makeups that came from AC scratchers that you can use to achieve that. One of the kabuki scratchers that I do have is this cheek flame purple, and it positions it to where it is in the anime as well, but there's 2 lines instead of 1. So that's why I decided to go with just the standard black paint face paint 8 because it looked more natural to what she has going on in the anime, even though it's not purple. But like I said, if you have some purple kabuki makeup, feel free to play around with those. This is just what I decided on. Okay, moving on to hairstyle. So the hairstyle I chose is actually relatively new. It came in the AC scratchers from about 2 to 3 weeks ago from the recording of this video, and it is the hangover long wolf hair. Now I chose this hair because it has a punk rock mullet look, and that's kind of what she has going on. Like, she has this distressed kind of mullet hair look bob in the front, but then if I zoom out here, you see that she has this very long, luscious, parted, fringy punk rock hair in the back. And that's what we wanted to go for. So this hairstyle was perfect to achieve that look. It is also a two-tone hairstyle. So I'll show you those colors in a minute, but first I want to show you an alternative hairstyle that would work with this. If you notice, this hairstyle also has that signature flip, and I had to add an extra flip using a hair accessory that we will go over as well a little bit down the video's line. But here is another hairstyle that will work for Masane's particular cosplay. So if you have the mother hair also has that punk rock mullet look in the front, and then has these two long luscious strands in the back. And that's actually a little bit more accurate to Masane's hairstyle, but it's not as thick. And I wanted to go for a more thick look. Now, it does not have that signature flip on the top here, so you would have to use 2 of these hair accessories, and this is at its smallest point. So this is like actually 3 times larger than it could be. So you can definitely do 2 of these flips and position them properly and make them to where they have that signature Masane flip look on top, like this hairstyle that we chose to go with, the hangover long wolf hairstyle, has 2. You can almost get it to be not that curved, but you can get it to be positioned where this flip is as well. Okay, as far as body paint goes, because I wanted to give her more coverage, I mean, she's basically naked anyways, but I wanted to give her more of an edgelord feel, and I just ended up going with the body paint tattoos, and I have two of those tattoos overlaid over each other to make it more bold, because much like the face paint, if I take this off, it's not as bold, it's not as predominant and luscious and beautiful looking. So I kind of overlap my body paints to just make it bolder. I'm sure there are other tattoos that will fit better for this cosplay, but I don't have a lot of body paints. That was just not something that I was gifted in the AC Scratcher world. So while I could give you more advice on body paints, I actually don't have a lot to go with. So just do what makes it look good to you. Okay, so this is not an outfit. No outfit you will find will even replicate anywhere near Masane's look. I've tried. I looked for days, and I have a lot of outfits. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. But to achieve this look, we ended up going with layers, outer, base, and inner. We have no outerwear on whatsoever. So I'm going to show you the base wear that I chose, and it is again from the recent AC Scratchers that are from about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and it is the Cleone Shadow Base. I got the shadow one because it's, you know, it's black and it matches Masane's look a lot better. This was not cheap. It was 20 mil Masetta. If you weren't fortunate enough to get it in the AC Scratchers like I wasn't, it was about 20 mil Masetta, but I spent all my Masetta on it just for you guys. So this is what it looks like, and it has all of the coverage that Masane has. It has a little bit less, but that's okay. I mean, because it worked out really well for this particular look. Now, if you don't have this, or you don't have the 20 mil Masetta to purchase this, there is an alternative outfit that I can suggest to you that is a little bit cheaper. So this Adhine Alna Ruby base is actually pretty good. It doesn't have as much nakedness as Masane does, but it will work for this particular cosplay as it does expose the backside just like the other one does, and it has the boots, and it has these really creative designs and the corset and the exposure of the breasts. So this will work for the cosplay. I just felt that this one was more true to form. So that's why I chose this one. Now, as far as the innerwear goes, it does not show in this particular base wears outfit, but as you saw in the other one, you saw the tattoos running up the side. That kind of gave it that more edgelord kind of look and more Witchbladey feel. So that's why I chose the Duskwake Regalia innerwear. You can probably only get this on personal shops now, and they're probably super expensive because this has been available in scratchers twice, and both of those scratchers are retired. So if you find it, great, but I'm not going to tell you it's cheap. It's probably going to be super expensive. Okay, so let's look at the accessories I decided to go with. Accessory number one is, as I said, is that secondary whip that Masane has, and I used Fluffy Hair S. These were obtained from Fun Scratchers as well, so you can find them in personal shops, and they're not super expensive. They're still relatively cheap as far as Masetta goes. So I took this accessory, and the first thing I messed with is the size, because the size determines the final positioning of said accessories. So as you can see, my axes are all the way to the bottom to make that flip as small as possible. These are my axes, my parameters. So if you want to go ahead and use those, this is how I got it as small as it is and in the position that it is in. Secondary, I messed with the angle. Once I flip around the angles a little bit, and as you can see, I did kind of like really extend these angles out a little bit to kind of get it into that like sideways positioning, because if I didn't do this, the flip is kind of like chaos otherwise. See what I'm saying here? You can really mess with the angles if you want more, but for me, these are the parameters I decided on, and it seems to work very well. Finally, you can mess with the position. Once you have messed with the size and the angles, it is in its permanent locked position, where if you try to mess with the positions first and then you go and do angles and sizing, it's going to move it around a little bit and you're just like, oh my god, this is not where I want it to be. Do I have to fix it? No, just do your positioning last. And these are the axes or parameters that I used for my positioning. Secondly, here is my second accessory. Now these are the big canine teeth that you got from the SG scratchers from episode 5, and they are part of Arks outfit attire. Because as you can see, when I go to my expressions, the only time you're ever going to see these teeth is really when I'm naturally talking, and even then it's barely, or when I'm smiling. That's when you can really see the canines, but everything else you can't really see them. They're just more for to serve as my perfectionist need. So those are what I chose for accessory number 2. Accessory number 3, I did these very beautiful earrings that I've always kind of used, and they're the Magi earrings. And they just give a nice little color pop in between her hair and her face, and it's really just there to be aesthetically pleasing. And as far as the 4th accessory, I chose these really awesome Red Blaze hand flames that you also got from the Duskwake Regalia AC Scratcher line. So again, they're available on personal shop, but they're probably relatively expensive. And because we don't have any like really red aura, like soft, smoky kind of accessories, I chose to use the blaze hands to kind of still give it that Witchblade feel. So that's just, I didn't mess with the sizing, I didn't mess with its positioning or its angles. It kind of just looks good where it's at. So that is what completed our look. As expected, just before I wrapped up this video, I realized I hadn't gone over the hair color. So real quickly, I'm going to go over the hair color options that I chose for this particular look. Now, it is a two-tone hairstyle that we used, so I chose a bright blood red, and then the tips would move into a dark, deep burgundy, almost burgundy color. So the reason I did this is because, as you can see, the tips are darker and it just gave it a more fluid look overall. So that's why we did that. Thank you so much for watching. Like, follow, and subscribe for more of Kirana's fashion passion. Remember to always be kind, be accepting, but most of all, be yourselves. And without further ado, let's wrap this baby up with a good old-fashioned photo shoot.